Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Blueprint Podcast. Real people, real stories. Chasing dreams, overcoming obstacles. Come get inspired and take action. I know you're ready. Let's go.
Welcome back to the Entrepreneurial Blueprint. Today, I actually have a couple special guests. Many of you probably have heard I do coach high school baseball, so these are two of my players. But the reason I brought them on is not just because they're outstanding baseball players. They actually decided to go the entrepreneurial route and start their own business. So we like to highlight not just ultra successful, business owners. We also like startups. We like to hear about success stories and guys who are in high school deciding to start a business and the lessons that they've learned as well. So I thought this would be a cool conversation to have you guys on. And so first, let's just hop in and introduce yourself. So Ben, why don't you start?
My name is Ben Wahlberg. I go to Beth DeFilla. I'm 16 years old. I'm a sophomore, and I love playing baseball.
My name's Matan Kaplowitz. I go to Beth DeFilla also. I'm 14. I'm a freshman. Yeah.
Good. So let's start there. Age. So you're 14 and 16 years old. Well, Matan, you're almost 15 years old. That's not a likely thing for someone of your age is say, I want to start a business. You have school, which is 8 to 4 every day. You got practice, basketball, baseball practice. You have a lot of extracurricular. You have studies to do. Why did you guys decide to go the business route?
All right, I'll answer that. So Ben and I have always really been into making money. I would always do little jobs around the house, trying to make money, doing anything I can. And so how we got the idea to start our business that's called WK Training is Ben and I we love baseball, and we would go to different baseball camps, and we would see there were pros and cons of different things that would be a part of different clinics. And Ben and I are like, well, we can do a really much better job, and we can make money doing this. So I have a batting cage in my backyard. That's where the first camp was. And we got together. It was 2 days in the summer, and it was awesome. And everything started there, I guess.
So who came up with the idea, or was it mutual?
I think it was more of a discussion. Kind of, we were just both talking about the problem that Tom was just talking about, how we thought that we could do a much better job if we ran a camp, and we're like, well, why don't we run a camp,
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, anytime you start a business, there's also sales involved. And the cool thing I noticed you guys did is you really exhausted a lot of your resources to get kids to come to your camp. So the past camp was last week, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you had 25
campers.
So you had to go out not only to the campers, but to their parents and get them to trust you and pay X amount of dollars to train their kids. So what was that like? What was Matan and then Ben, why don't you take us through that process of what it was like calling out to these parents and selling them, and why they should trust sending their kid to your camp?
Okay, so I've always had like a sales mindset, like a business kind of mindset, and sales is really my strong suit, like getting kids to come to the camp. So I remember the first call I ever made to get someone to sign up. It was really scary, because I was talking to a mother who I wanted her son to come to the camp. So I remember I made like a script, and I just practiced that. And then I finally became more comfortable with it, and I knew what parents wanted to hear. So I would use the past results, think about what I can really work on specific to this mom to get her to sign up her kid. And then we just kept doing it. And then Ben is great at talking to parents. Ben's awesome at talking. So all we had to do is a little practice, and we got really good at it. And then that's our main way of how we would get people to sign up. But we also used a lot of resources, like especially this past camp. We used different people we know around baseball, that run camps, that have venues that we want to use. So we used our connections, and that also got us a bunch of kids signed up. So it's something we're always working on to get better at, but we're very good at it.
Yeah, I think other than just sending out emails and talking to parents, another thing we really like to do is like building relationships from the start. A lot of these kids, Matan and I have done private lessons with before, and we're like, hey, you should come to our camp next time. And we just keep building up and building these relationships with other people.
Yeah, I think one of the cool things I saw you guys do is your willingness to try different things. I was with you guys in the cage, and I gave you an idea that I thought would be a good idea, the referrals. And immediately you and Matan were like, all right, let's sit later and figure this out, put it together. And I think as business owners, you learn pretty quickly that you don't have all the answers figured out, and you have to listen to other people, and you always have to grow. So you have to be willing to try new things out. So that being said, take us through what it was like your most previous camp. So first off, how many kids did you have in your first camp last year?
So the first camp ever, it was total of 12 kids. It was great. It was a very great start, but the first camp was structured that there were 2 sessions every day. So 12 different kids came. I think it was 12. But some would come the first and second session,
Gotcha.
some would come both days. So it was like that. But once we progressed, we got it down to what's the most efficient way to do it. So, and it was great seeing our improvement that we started off with only 12 kids, and now we're at 25.
You basically doubled.
Yeah.
It. So is this just a one time a year thing, or you guys want to make this into do this, multiple times a year, make it into an actual maybe organization?
So our not really end goal, but I think our next step is first of all doing a bunch more camps a year. We're trying to do this summer before camp starts, right after school ends. But also we want to have private lessons through our company with other coaches our age, like on our team, that we can give them opportunities to teach kids through us.
Yeah, and that was really impressive to me because I'm sure a lot of people in your position, I'm sure if I was in your position and I was starting a camp and I found the success, I had 25 kids, I wanted to make it, I wanted someone maybe older there to kind of help move things along. But rather than you guys just being you two, you decided to hire, not ask coaches who were in the 20s, 30s, 40s to come help out. You asked other teammates of yours. I know 2 guys from your team came and helped, and you actually paid them. What was that thought process? Why didn't you want to, maybe ask your varsity baseball coach, or why didn't you want to ask your club baseball coach? Why did you want to bring on other players from your team?
All right. I'm sure Ben also wants to say something about it, so I'll say. So I think the kids, they really look up to us. All the kids, a lot of them are there because they love hanging out with us, and they see us as role models. And we think there's certain characteristics you have to be good at running the camps. So we've had 5 different coaches that come, and each one of them, they talk to the kids, they build a relationship. From when the kids sign in, it's, oh, what's your name? Whatever. And then they're talking about baseball and school and sports and all the things kids want to talk about. So I think that's one characteristic, is they need to be talking to people. They need to be able to coach the kids. That's another important part. And we saw that in all the 5 different coaches we hired. And it's hard. It's like there's kids in school asking us every day, Matan, Ben, can I work at the next camp? And we're like, well, I don't know, because we already have great coaches that have these characteristics. So it's hard to choose, but we end up doing a good job.
I think also when we were doing this, Matt, have you ever heard of the National Honor Society in high school?
Yeah, I think I was in it. I think I got inducted.
Yeah. So it's like this whole tutoring system where kids your age kind of tutor you. And I thought that was such a great way for us to build relationships with our campers, is that without a huge age gap, we have campers who trust us, who want to talk to us. Like, I have campers after the camp texting me, asking me for advice about school, their friends, stuff like that. And I think building that type of relationship where they look up to us and it's kind of a mentorship.
Yeah, and that's what it's starting to sound like. Baseball's a really cool avenue, especially growing up, because there's a lot of different mentors you can have, your coaches, but also teammates. A lot of these players are going to be going to the same school as you guys, or live in the same area as you guys, so they can feel like, I want to, what Matan or Ben are doing, that's kind of what I want to be like in high school. And a lot of these kids in middle school need someone like you guys to sort of help them find their niche, or find their the success that they want, which is really cool. I mean, it's a really cool program that you guys are starting. But I do want to dive into a little bit of the entrepreneurship mindset here, like where you guys are now, where you want to take this business. I know you said a little bit of hitting lessons throughout the year and whatnot. But also, is this something that maybe you want to do in the future, maybe after college? So let's get into it. So last week you had 25 kids. What was that camp like? Ben, why don't you start us off? What was that camp like? What was the day like, and what did you guys do?
So this was our biggest camp yet. Not only did we have the most kids, but we also had incredible spaces. We had the baseball warehouse, which is a wonderful indoor facility in Pikesville that we use, Owings Mills. And we also rented out the KSDS field. And this camp was just so much fun because there were so many kids and we didn't know what to do at the start, but then we kind of had to figure it out. And we got uncomfortable. We got comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I really liked that. It was a lot of kids and we just had so much fun. The kids got to scrimmage on the last day. We did drills on the first day. It was a great experience.
Yeah, Matan, what was it like for you?
It was awesome. Like, first, like, so I also want to, so let's start. There was like a big roadblock I also want to talk about and how we worked over that. But before, like, leading up to the camp, that's when most of the entrepreneurial stuff is done. So, like, I would say we started working on it a month, maybe 2 months before. And a very important part is finding a date. So we did it during Passover break when kids are off, and most of the kids that we know are going to want to, they have nothing going on, they want to come, they can't. So we chose dates. We had to make flyers, design all that stuff. We had to then start making sales and getting payments in and figuring out all our finances, all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of hard work. It's like during class, I'll be messaging a mom, getting her to pay me while like learning math or something. But honestly, I like that because it made school more enjoyable. Like whenever I see Ben in the hall, I'm like, Ben, got 5 more kids to come. Like it would be like that. But then when it gets to the camp, it's like, oh yeah, now we're gonna have a blast because we love doing this. This is like having all these kids looking up to you and learning, getting to teach them. It's a great time. So it was just so much fun. The kids are so cute. It's like some kids are like, we have a big age gap, so we're very good at like splitting them into groups. Some kids are like in first grade. The oldest kid was in 8th grade. So it was so much fun having such a big age range. And yeah, it was great. But there was also Ben, do you want to talk about that? What happened the first day at the baseball warehouse? Our first.
Sure. So the first day of this camp, we actually had our first like big problem as a new business, and I thought we handled it really well. We were at the baseball warehouse for our camp. We were so excited. We had 25 kids with us. It was chaos. And about an hour and a half in, a softball trainer for the baseball warehouse comes in to do a private lesson. So I go up to her and I talk to her and I'm like, do you have this space rented out? And she's like, yeah, I have a lesson. We're like, oh, because we had the entire warehouse rented out to ourselves. So apparently, not only did she have that lesson, but she had 20 kids coming in an hour later, and the space was double booked accidentally. So we had very little time with a lot of kids running around to try to figure out what to do. And we had to pivot and figure out how to share the space. So we ended up splitting the cages and using the outdoor space, and we figured it out on the move. And it was really cool for us to get over that roadblock.
So I'll sum up two important lessons you guys basically learned in your, I guess, second time really participating, being an entrepreneur. The first one is nothing ever goes 100% to plan. You might have the most beautiful business blueprint. Something's always going to come up and you're going to have to learn to adjust. And I think you guys did that beautifully. I think you guys learned that. That's something that you can learn that now. So when, as you get older, it's going to be easier to deal with. And the second one is, especially with Matan talking about being in math class and dealing with clients and being an entrepreneur, you have no time. I mean, your time is booked basically. Besides sleeping, your days are booked, and you have to find ways to get everything done in a really 17 hours. You have 17 hours throughout the day to figure out how to get everything done. But that's also part of the fun of being an entrepreneur, right? I mean, it's very rewarding that you saw the fruits of your labor from all the hard work, and the guys probably really enjoyed it. I mean, you don't just get 25 kids by accident.
Yeah.
So when that happened, the kids were obviously like a bit confused, but Ben and I dealt with that. I really also want to compliment Ben. Like Ben stayed very calm the whole time. I was a little nervous because I was thinking like, oh my God, what did we book this wrong? What did we do? Ben, we figured it out. We made a good plan, and the kids, like, they barely even noticed what was going on. We came in with like our practice plan, what we wanted to do. It's a lot. It's a big balance of skill development, like breaking up into groups and doing drills that we know that we think that can help the kids, and then like obviously games. And we were all playing wiffle ball, and this lady comes in, and it was very stressful, but we really worked through it, and it felt like it was running smooth. So yeah, we had to learn about dealing with unreliable vendors, but
yeah,
we'll get
it's
it
all
next.
Good. You'll trust me. It's not going to be the last time you have to deal with it. But all right. So what's the plan down the road here? So it's been going well so far, but obviously you want to keep growing it. So you said you wanted to get into some private hitting lessons. Tell us about that. And also, you guys had 25 kids this year. What's the goal moving forward? I mean, double that again, get 50 kids.
So I think our goal for this summer, in 2 months, for June, was to get a 40 kid camp.
Okay.
And part of expanding that much, like we can expand enough on our own, but to make that big of a jump in that little time, we're talking to a summer camp, a local summer camp, because we know they don't start that week. And we know that they always get asked if they could do daycare that week or something like that. So we're trying to partner with a summer camp to get more kids, to get spaces from them and get some of their campers.
Yeah, I think the goal is like obviously in like the near future to keep growing, get 40 kids, hire more coaches, build our network, all different things like that. But it's also there's different entrepreneurial opportunities. We can Ben and I were talking about like asking softball players to maybe we could Ben and I can use our entrepreneurial skills to organize a softball camp and then hire softball coaches to teach the kids. We can so the thing with the one-on-one training is so now we have different coaches that want to work for us, and I think what we don't want to do like your everyday hitting lesson. We want to make it so what happens is Ben or I or one of the real goal is one of our coaches go out for us. Ben and I organize the time, the date, the place, and we get one of our coaches to go out, teach the kid different skills that we plan on working on with them, having a lot of fun, drills that are enjoyable, and then Ben and I are found a way that we can structure this where we're making money even when we're not training the kid. So it's basically kind of like we're paying we can get into the details, but it's kind of like we're paying the coach for hourly and then we're taking the difference. So
it's them giving us kind of a finder's fee, getting them those lessons, and it's passive income for us.
There you go. You found, good. Passive income's always great, right? And so is this something you want to do for a good, rest of your high school career, maybe college, and maybe even turn this into a real organization?
I mean, I think so. I think doing camps, lessons, selling merch, like making a whole brand out of it could be really cool. And there's so many different ways we can expand, so many different things we can get into for this.
Yeah.
Ben, you want to talk about how we got the Under Armour merch?
Oh, so we are very close with the Under Armour distributor, Adam Gladstone. And we worked with him for a while trying to get these Under Armour WK training shirts, which we gave to all the kids that signed up before a certain date, creating like more demand and so we could have quicker signups and figure out what we needed to do for this camp. And we're now starting conversations about selling hats, selling hoodies, selling shorts, like selling t-shirts for kids, and just building a brand and a business out of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I also want to get into because when I started coaching after college baseball, I had a whole new appreciation for baseball because you get a different perspective when you're playing and you're training by yourself. You're trying to make yourself a better player. You're trying to learn as much as you can. But then when I started coaching, I started to appreciate being able to teach, players some of the knowledge I had. And what it did for me is not only did I get like I said, a new appreciation for the game, I started enjoying the game differently. I actually learned more about myself as a player by teaching other athletes stuff that I've learned. And I started seeing the game differently. I started learning the game differently. You guys are now teaching players from the age of, what's first? You said 11 years old or first grader?
Like 7 years old.
7 years old to 13 years old.
Yeah.
Which one? That's completely different coaching styles. You're not teaching someone who's 13 the same thing you're teaching someone who's 7. But two, like you guys are still becoming. You guys are still trying to figure out who you are as players. I mean, it's an exciting time. You're in high school. What's that been like teaching players the game? And are you starting to notice the game at a different perspective, at a different level? And is that helping you improve your own game?
I think it's a lot of what we work on with the kids is fundamentals, and like if they're pitchers, a lot of pitchers that age don't use their legs enough or stuff like that. And that makes me realize, I guess I don't use my legs enough now that I'm looking at this. So it really does teach us a lot about our own game by tweaking their game and figuring out what all of us could do better to become better athletes.
Also, it's very rewarding so like going through a drill and showing them, I'll be demonstrating a drill and I'll take a swing and like a bunch of 7-year-olds are watching, and then I hit a ball hard and they're like, wow, that's so cool. Like something like that. And then we're going through the drill and I'm tweaking their swing, different things, and then they hit a nice shot, and it's like it feels so good to know that, wow, Ben and I were the ones that showed them how to do this. Like that's so nice. Oh, Matt, the mini bat you gave me? Yeah, we were doing drills with that. It was like it's very rewarding and feels great to teach the kids.
Yeah, that's part of being an entrepreneur as well. Is obviously you're trying to make money. That's the whole point of being an entrepreneur. But the most successful entrepreneurs are the ones that use their skills and talents to give back, to help other people. You find an opportunity, you find something that you like to do, that you have a passion for, and also that you want to be able to see that you're making a difference in someone else's life. So I think that's a cool perspective that a lot of people don't get, especially at your ages. I mean, a lot of people don't get that ever in their life. And so you guys are starting to get your feet wet now. I don't want to take up too much of your times because I know you guys have practice soon. I want each of you, we'll start with Ben and then go to Matan. Speaking to maybe someone else your own age, maybe in college, and even adults who are listening to this, because we can all learn from each other, no matter what old you are. What's one lesson that you've learned so far being an entrepreneur that you wish you could tell someone else and they're listening?
I think one of the things that I learned and I really live by when it comes to how I operate, not just in business but as a person, is when you're trying to do something like this and starting a business, you want to fall in love with the problem, not the solution. Because Matan and I, our focus is that we want to make this better for the kids. We fell in love with the problem, that there's not camps that are fun for them anymore, and like baseball camps. And we really fell in love with this problem and not so much the solution, because I think that's the first step that so many people skip, is they just fall in love with their solution to a problem. But when in reality, you have to fall in love with the problem, not the solution.
Well, it's actually pretty profound, Ben.
Thank you.
I would say two things. One is having patience, especially I learned that this last camp. So, obviously, selling a baseball camp to mothers is very difficult because there's obviously they have many concerns. And in my head, I'm sure Ben also thinks is like, oh my God, are you coming or not? Just send me your money. Like, let me know if you're coming. And then it becomes stressful, but especially with this, also with like getting double booked, that sucked. I had to take a deep breath, take a few steps back, like have some patience, and it'll really help. But the other thing is like a lot of people give us suggestions. It's honest, like, especially with me after the camp, I'm telling friends and family about it. They're asking me questions, and a lot of them are trying to give me ideas, or even before the camp. But like sometimes I don't really want to hear the feedback. I think to myself, I don't want to hear the feedback. Like, what do you know about running baseball camps? What do you know about having a real business? But you gotta really like, okay, maybe they're wrong. Maybe what they're saying you don't need to take into what you're doing. But wow, maybe they really have a point. Like, people kept talking to me about the price and maybe doing something to get the price down, like a discount code or referrals. And I'm like, sometimes I'll be a little arrogant. I'll be like, what my price isn't good enough. It's too expensive. But then sometimes they're like, well, you're right. Like, some moms are sending 2 of their kids. Maybe we should get the price down, have an opportunity for something like that. So I would say those 2 things.
Well, great, guys. I appreciate you coming on. Yeah, I think the beautiful thing about this podcast is, like I said, not just having someone who's established, has an established business for 10 years, or someone that's had 20 years of experience in business, but getting everybody with the entrepreneurial mindset and also like the experience that you've already gained in a year of doing this. So really keep up with what you guys are doing, and we want to keep track of what you're doing, and let's get you back on. Let's see how you guys are doing in 6 months time, a year's time, and keep killing it, guys. Really.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.